Good evening, everyone. My name is Kafu Yebu. I am the founder and product lead at kraado. I am here with Joel and one of our team members, Victor Nietzsche. Victor is one of the community managers for kraado. Today, it's all about CV combos. How do you craft a winning CV that can get you into the door and have a conversation with a hiring manager or a recruiter? How do you move to that step where you get to convince them that you're the right candidate for the job? That's what we are going to talk about today. And it's going to be hands-on, so expect lots of fireworks. We have so many questions lined up. We'll take questions from in-house, and then we'll take questions from those that have already been sent by community members. So stay tuned and have fun. But before we proceed, I want to talk about kraado. What is kraado? As some of you may already know, we validate the skills of university students and graduates so they can work on projects within startups and SMEs. They are either interns or volunteers, depending on the level of experience they have. And they upskill through that process. Somebody like Joel, who has a service where he helps students and graduates to find high-level employment and other opportunities, either paid or unpaid. So that's our mandate. We do this, we give you points. You use the point to also get free coaching from professionals in the tech and business space. So that is just the gist of what kraado is about. And who do we have with us today? We have Joel Kojo Abaka Anaman. Very long name. Yeah, but Joel is a great guy. He's been helping so many people. And so far, Joel by profession is a pharmacist and a product manager. He loves solving problems. He's always embracing growth mindset. He's the founder of Career Wheels. He's accomplished so much. He's helped over 150 people to navigate careers in product and business areas. So I don't want to take all that he has to say from him. So I'll give him the chance to give us a bit more details about what he is about, some fun facts, so we can connect with him before we get started. So Joel, I'll pass on the baton to you very soon. But do that.
Okay.
Once Joel does his introduction, he'll go straight into either a presentation or a demo. Right after that, we'll have the Q&A, and then we give the opportunity for people in-house to also ask questions. And then later on, we party. So that's the flow for tonight. Yes, thank you all for joining. And Joel, welcome once again to kraado Land.
Thank you so much, Kafi. As Kafi said, my name is Joel. I'm a pharmacist gone rogue. Still exploring my career. I do career coaching for fun, etc., etc. And today I'll be talking about writing a winning resume or crafting a winning resume. Before that, I have a second screen, so I'll be looking away small. So just in case you find me looking this way, that I'm looking at my second screen. Yeah, so before we start, I want to feel the energy in the room. Can you tell me, well, Kafi said I'm supposed to share one fact, right? One fun fact. I think I started going bold in my fourth year uni, so I started trying school around that time. And I decided to stick with that look even before the baldness caught up with me. So here I am. I still have hair anyway, but that's just by the way. So Kafu, I hope that passes. That passes for how do you call it? A fun fact. Oh, thank you very much, Alfred.
Yes, it does. It's all good. I'm sure most of these guys in here will get to that point. So it's a natural transition.
The line is terrible. I don't know if it.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I mean, before we start, I need to feel your energy, like those in the room. can you put in one word, right, how you're feeling today? I mean, how you're feeling about this meeting and all of that, just in one word in the comment section. I want to get like some 5-6 comments to see that you're with me before I start off. So who's going first? That means we are not excited at all to have this meeting. Okay. Oh, grateful. Okay, I can see expectant, hopeful, grateful, excited. Oh, nice, nice, nice. At least I can feel that you are with me, so I can just fire away. So I'm going to share my screen. My screen too. Kindly confirm with me if you can see my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Kafui.
I see your screen. No, now it's gone. So maybe you should come back
It's
again.
gone now. I can't see.
Section. I would need. Because I don't have the chat section. Like I would need you to.
Okay. So
I can't see the chat section, so I need you to confirm by voice. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I have my thing showing. I don't know why, but let me just start right away. Okay. I think using this will be better. Great. So today we are going to look at a CV convo, how to craft a winning resume. And my name is Joel, as Kafui mentioned. I'm the founder of Career Wheel. Just in case you can't hear me at a point, please don't hesitate to prompt me. Yeah, so let's just dive right in. I'll just start with a story, my story, my personal story. 7 years ago. So 7 years ago, I was in Legon. I was in my third year, moving to my fourth year, and I had the chance to apply for a job. It was a contract job, right? That was the first time I was working on a resume. So I literally had no idea about what I was doing. I went on the internet, read a bit. I mean, it wasn't working for me. So I reached out to a senior colleague and he sent me his resume and I had to change all the, the marital status, the name, the age, birthday, etc., etc. And I put in the application. It was a very bad CV. I mean, looking back, backtracking, I can see that it was really a bad CV. But most importantly, I got the job. Right, I got the job. And wait, is my screen showing still?
No, it's not showing.
Oh wow.
Okay, now it's
Great.
about to show.
Okay, so this was what was showing. So most importantly, I got the due to my, should I say the network that I had with the people who were running the employment, right? And how they had come in touch with my own work ethic. So left for the CV alone, if I was a regular candidate, I wouldn't have gotten chosen, but I still got the job anyway without the CV. And what's the point I'm trying to drive home is that you can actually land an amazing job without a CV, right? Or a resume. But the challenge here is that in a very competitive market with less jobs, as of 2018, about 110,000 tertiary graduates were reported, I think, by the World Bank Group in a survey that they did. So if you're having about 110,000 people, let's say you are fighting with several hundreds of thousands of graduates for some little opportunities, you need to try as hard as possible to stand out. And that's why it's necessary to have a resume. So today we are going to look at some definition of a resume that I have based on what I have discovered over the years, right? Fixing resumes. And also we'll look at what a resume is not, and then what a resume is. Then we'll dive deep into what you should look at when you are trying to build a winning resume. So I'll move on to the next slide, which defines what resume means, right? So a resume is a static document that gets updated with roles and responsibilities for submission when an opportunity arises. Yeah, I mean, this is a sarcastic definition anyway, because it's based on the experience that I've seen with people. Even this evening, it happened, right? Someone hit me up that they had an opportunity and they have to fix their resume. The deadline is today. And I told them that unfortunately, I have this meeting. And even if without this meeting, I have to work on the resume, it will take some time because there are certain processes that you have to go through to build a very quality resume, right? So this definition you see right here is just a sarcastic definition of what a resume is. So you can see a static document that gets updated with roles and responsibilities for submission when an opportunity arises. And you would understand this from the subsequent slides. So the next slide, I'm going to talk about what a resume is not, or what a CV is not. So a resume is not a static document. That's the first thing. So by saying static, I mean that it's not something that you put on the shelf and then you pick it up when you're ready to use it. So when an opportunity arises, that's when you pick it up. No, it's something that you update regularly. Also, a resume is not only for job hunting. I've heard this a lot of times. People keep saying, oh, resumes will fade out and all of that. And for me, from where I sit as a career coach, not necessarily because I make money from helping people build their resumes, but most importantly, I've realized that some people have actually come to me to build their resumes, not because they were hunting for jobs, but because they wanted to find purpose in what they were doing, or they wanted to find an understanding or see how successful they have been in their role. They wanted to know what type of contribution that they've given to their employers in order to aid them in negotiating for some additional salary. So I've seen this beyond, I mean, I've seen the use of resumes way beyond job hunting, right? And that's a mindset that I want professionals to embrace, that your resume goes way beyond job hunting. Job hunting is just one use of your resume. The third one is that a resume is not a straight pass into a job. So a lot of people have the perception that when you have your resume done, then that's it. Maybe I'm sorry to disappoint you, but when you have your resume done, that's a very important step because that's what gets your foot in the door. But when you get your foot in the door, there are several other things that happen. There's bias, there's interview preparation, there's negotiations, you know, there are lots of things that happen. Sometimes you may be even given a task to execute during the interview process, right? So all of these come into the mix. And that's why you shouldn't think that having a good resume guarantees you a job. It gives you a mileage, it gets your foot in the door, but then there are several other things that you have to do to get yourself the job. So that's something that I wanted to point out. Now let's go ahead to look at what a resume is, or what a CV is. So a resume is a document that preaches value, not roles and responsibilities. So as I mentioned earlier, I said it was a static document that shows your roles and responsibilities, but I'm here debunking it, right, for you to understand. So by preaching value, we want to see what kind of contribution or what kind of addition you've contributed to your organization or your employer, right? Let's say I'm hiring for a social media manager role. Obviously, I understand what a social media manager does, and you will see that clearly in the job description, right? Now, if you have to build a CV and then you end up putting roles and responsibilities on, then you're not really selling yourself. You're not really telling us the kind of value you've contributed to an organization, for which reason I should hire you for that social media management role. So you should always understand that your CV is a document that preaches value, not roles and responsibilities. The next thing is that it's a double customized document. Now I say double customized document because the first level of customization is that the CV is specific to you as a professional. So you may be a software engineer working in a company with other co-software engineers, right? They are all software engineers. Now, what differentiates you is really your attitude towards work, your work ethic, the kind of effort you put in to get the organization growing and yourself growing professionally. So your CV shouldn't look the same, although it's the same role, same job description, even same company. When we pick the CVs for both individuals, it should vary. And it should vary because you are both not the same. The kind of effort you put in into work is not the same. Your skill set is different. Everything is literally different, right? So you need to make sure that wherever you're putting on your CV is as specific as possible to you. It should be in such a way that when someone picks that bullet point and puts it on their resume, it wouldn't fit. That's how you should think about it. The next level of customization is customizing your CV to the job that you're applying to. So if you, in case you're looking at a job application, or even you're applying for a fellowship or you're applying for a scholarship, all the things that you list in there should
Hi, Joel. Hi, Joel. You're on mute.
okay. So yeah, let me pick it up from I think before the screen went off. So the second level of double customization, I said the first level is like specific document. Your CV is specific to you, even if you have a colleague in your company having the same roles and responsibilities, same job titles as you, your CV should be different, right? Your CV should be different because you are two different people. Your output is different, your work ethic different, you have different skill set, different capabilities, etc. So there shouldn't be any case of, you know, um, picking something from your CV that can sort of fit into their CV. So that's the level, the deep level of specification that we are looking at. Now, as I mentioned earlier, your CV is a selling document. Wait, I think I'm missing a point. So that's the first level of specification. The second level of specification is, or customization, is making sure that your your CV or your resume is matching closely to what the employer wants or what um, the opportunity that has been published is really advertising. So if they are saying that they need social media skills or they need data analysis skills, you shouldn't be talking about writing skills. Although you may be an effective writer, you may be a wonderful writer. At that point in time, whatever you're preaching is not customized to me, right? That I'm hiring for someone who should have a data analytics skills. So that brings me to the next point, which is looking at a resume as a selling document. I highlighted that in the first point, but over here I'm trying to draw our attention to the fact that we have to build it with our audience in mind. So you wouldn't build something that the person does not need. Basically, if you go to the market or you go to a supermarket to buy a particular brand, or you're going to market to buy a phone, you wouldn't change your mind then to buy a different phone. You are really focused on what you want to buy. You have a budget for it, right? That's the same way hiring managers and recruiters operate. They have specified job descriptions and they know what they want. So if you are not able to align yourself very well with the job description, you don't sell yourself properly, you may end up not getting the role. And I mean, recently I fell into that same trap, right? I read a job description totally different. I mean, it was totally different for me. And although I got myself into the interview stage, when I went to the interview, it wasn't something that was matching my expectations. So yes, I got rejected, but it was solely because, okay, what I wanted or what I had in mind was not what they had in mind. And so what I had to sell myself with was not what they were looking forward to hearing. And that's a clear mismatch. So when you face rejections, just understand that there are cases where there's a mismatch between what you have to offer and then what the organization needs. and for that reason, there's no fit. So someone has to face a rejection, right? So that's about the third point. The fourth point is that your resume has to be updated regularly. I mentioned that earlier. It's not a static document. So ideally, you should be updating it, whether you want to update it monthly, weekly, fortnightly, quarterly. It's up to you. But the thing is, the lesser the timeline, the better, because you understand or you remember the details. Now, the best way to do that too is through journaling. If you can't really update your resume all the time, I mean, it feels like a hectic task. All you have to really do is to journal, and we'll be looking at some principles that guide this journaling process. The last one is that the resume is a good foundation for interview success. So if you're able to build your resume very well, you understand the content, how it's speaking value to whatever job you're applying to, whatever fellowship you're applying to, or whatever opportunity that you're submitting your resume for. It helps you to sort of prepare for your interview ahead of time, because now you start thinking about scenarios. What were the stories behind these achievements? How do I write them down? All of that, right? And that way you get some mileage into your interview process, right? So that's what a CV or resume is. So now we've looked at what a CV or resume is not. We've looked at what a CV or resume is. Now we'll look at the winning resume, how you go about crafting it. So as per our framework in Career Wheel, we have three building structures: the content, the structure, and then the context. So you can call it CCS, SEC, whichever way you want to call it, but it's content, structure, context. And for us, it's about delivering the right content. So when you pick the resume, does it speak to the needs of the employer? That's where the selling happens. The second thing is having the optimum structure. So does the structure make it easy? Does it give a very good experience for the recruiter or the hiring manager? Do they have to, sift through typos before they get to understand what you're trying to communicate? Is there a logical flow of the sections of the CV for them? All those things sort of fit into the recruiter's experience, and there are things that get them to, appreciate your value more in addition to the content. And then the last one is the contextualization, which is still the content, but now we are not only looking at maybe a quantified content or an achievement, but we're looking at how the achievement speaks to the need of the employer or the recruiting manager or the hiring manager. So if you have all these 3 pointers correct, right, then you are sure getting a winning resume. But do remember that a winning resume is just the rate limiting step. It's just one step towards your success of getting a job. All right, so now let's look at what I'll be touching on would be the content, because that's the most important thing. Per our experience, a lot of people are not able to grasp that concept very well. So I'll be talking a bit about the content, then we'll look at the structure. We'll take a look at our CV template at Career Wheel. It's actually a free CV template that we've let out. And also, we may not be able to cover contextualization in this particular session, but at least for the content and structure, that's a very good head start. Mainly because mostly for contextualization, it's about getting hold of a job description, knowing what they need, and trying to see, okay, they want organizational skills. How have I applied organizational skills in my work? Okay, then if I've applied organizational skills in my work and it's linked to a particular achievement, then let me lift that achievement and use that to sell myself on the resume. That's basically what contextualization is. So you look at keywords. Every industry has keywords. So when you look at the job description, you'd see commonly occurring words that could be flowing through. You should look out for the skills that they keep mentioning. You should look out for the tools that they keep mentioning, like software that they keep mentioning in the job description. And that way, it gets you to sort of build your resume to match up with what they need, right? So that I don't blend it with, some value. You may have valuable achievement, but at that instance or in that context, they become chaff for whoever is hiring you, because it does not add up to them as an organization. So we are going to look at the content. Now, the first stage for building a very good content for your resume, I would say, is understanding the meaning of success. So there are two things. You understand the meaning of success in your organization and the meaning of success um, in your role, right? Whatever you've been appointed to do. So let's say you're in an organization that's into maybe sale of products, FMCG goods, maybe a food product, right? The success, what success means to an organization, to that organization would be probably, you know, making sure that they are hitting their sales targets, right? Within a particular time frame, maybe within 1 year, we want to sell $1 million worth of food products, right? And even we have several food products, so we want 30% to be for this food, 40% to be for this food, 50% to be for this food. You know, they can segregate it like that. So that's the success of the company. That's what success means to them. So now you have to sit down and then look at, in your role as maybe an administrative assistant, how does your work feed into this, right? In your role as an administrative assistant, how does your work feed into this success, right? That also helps you to know what success in your role means. So let's say if you are the one supposed to deliver, prepare presentation decks, right? Or make available tools for the salespeople to be able to sell, right? In order to hit that quota of $1 million, then that is where your measure of success is. So you should be asking yourself, how do I make, how do I develop better slides? How do I develop it faster? Right? That's in terms of efficiency, right? That's where your work as an admin assistant comes in to help the team, because you don't want a situation where the team has to build a, let's say, a slide deck, and you have to support them with the tools, and then the tools are not ready. Then the team is not able to use the slide deck on time to meet their sales targets, and that affects the company. So that's how everything is layered. So by understanding what success means to you and what success means to the organization, you'll be able to quantify some things. And that's how come you're able to sit down and say, okay, I've been able to get this achievement because whatever I did fed into the goals of the organization. So as an administrative assistant, you can do things that help to save time, things that help to simplify processes for the teams that you are supporting. You can also quantify your mileage, which is something that I'll be talking about. So in building a very good resume that has an achievement, I would say that the main things is that you should have the quantifiable achievement. So that value, that measurable value that you've added to the organization, that's the first thing. So the what. Then you look at the how, which is how you're able to achieve that. So it's more like the summary of the strategy. So maybe, for example, you identified a problem in the organization. All the time they build slide decks right from scratch. You realize that there's a need to build a template because it becomes repetitive work. So as an admin assistant, you're able to develop a template for the organization that other teams are able to use. And through that, you realize that now people are using less time in building the slide decks. It's simplifying the processes for them, right? You are simplifying the process for the team. So in that case, you're going to ask yourself, what do I quantify? Maybe I can look at the time spent in building slide deck, right? So before I brought the template, what was the average time it would take to build out slide deck, right? And after building the template, what's the time period it takes to build out a slide deck? Then you measure it, right? And you do your mathematics to understand the percentage reduction in time. And that becomes your quantifiable achievement because you're now improving efficiency. The team members can also go out to sell, right? With less, with peace of mind that, okay, they have their slide decks sorted out and they can focus on really selling. And if they hit their sales target, then you can connect whatever you did, even by improving efficiency and reducing the time. You can also say that you helped to support the team to achieve this revenue targets. So that is how you go about the process, like summarizing the strategy. So in this case, your strategy was to develop a template, a slide deck template, which is as simple as ABC, right? So the what, the how, and then the when. So if there's a timeline within which you were able to build the solution, right? So you are solving a problem. So a timeline within which you were able to build a solution, or let's say a timeline within which you're able to achieve something, like achieve the result after building a solution. So two things. You can have the timeline that stipulates that you're able to build maybe the slide template, the template in maybe 1 hour, right? And then you can have the situation where after building a template for the team, now the team had to use it over time. And over the next 3 months, the next 6 months, they were able to hit their sales target. Those are two different timelines. So you can represent either of them on your resume based on whatever job that you come across. Let's say if the job is looking at someone who is efficient, then you can now represent efficiency as you being able to develop that template in 1 hour and then helping the team to achieve their sales target in the next 6 months. So that is how you do the comparison, you do your calculations, etc. And in that way, you're able to communicate your value strongly. So it's very important to add timelines, especially when you want to prove efficiency, right? How fast you're able to hit something. If maybe the team hit their target after 2 years, that's not impressive, right? It's not that impressive. So you wouldn't want to highlight that on the resume. So it's about highlighting the strengths out of the lot that you've done. The next thing is the team member. So if you're working with, you want to show that you're able to collaborate with teams or you're able to collaborate with senior executives. So if you work with the CEO, you work with some line managers, first line manager, second line manager, whatever it is, try and incorporate that too as well. That way it helps them to, whoever is reading your resume, understand that, okay, you're able to engage at different levels in the organization. You can also engage the people who are lower than you in terms of rank, right? So that way they get to see that, okay, as someone who is very versatile, you can sell yourself to people high up, you can sell yourself to people down there, and then you're able to get them to achieve results. Also, one thing that you may want to highlight is the skills and tools that you used in the process. So if you use Microsoft Excel for data analysis, you can even drill deep and say maybe use MS Excel pivot tables, right? Or you use maybe an Excel solver, right? Those are like advanced Excel functions. So you can highlight those tools, or in some cases you highlight your skills, maybe stakeholder engagement skills, communication skills, etc., within the bullet points, so that also lets them know that, okay, this is how you use the skill to achieve XYZ. Now, you may also introduce industry terms. Industry terms are used normally to sort of, show people that you understand the market. So you may not say product in a sales environment. You won't say product. You say things like SKUs, which are stock keeping units, right? That way they get to understand, whoever it's reading your resume gets to understand that, okay, I've read with industry terms, and it also shows the kind of prowess that you have in the work that you do. So industry terms are also sometimes, or most times, very important. Where necessary, infuse it into your bullet point. And then the last one is using power or action verbs. So you don't use passive words in your resume, like maybe you handled something, right? You can rather say maybe you oversaw, or you authorized, or you motivated a team to do X, Y, Z, or you championed something, or you drove engagement. So that way, you are sounding very positive with regards to the bullets that you are using. When you Google resume, action verbs, power verbs, you'd find a lot on the internet. So that's about the first phase of the content. What if your role does not have a lot of achievements, right? Like it's very routine. It's more like just doing everyday work. You're not really spotting any new thing that you've added to the organization. There's still a solution for you. You have to think about highlighting your mileage. So I have this thing that I tweeted out the last time, which I'm sort of replicating here. So you can see the statement, I oversee. I oversee a company. I oversee an FMCG company. I oversee a multi-million-dollar FMCG company. I oversee a global multi-million-dollar FMCG company with presence in 150 countries. So you can see how from I to IV, you get very vivid with your descriptions, right? And that's how you need to sell yourself. So when you're highlighting mileage, you need to go the IV style, and it's basically doing vivid descriptions with numbers and then with words. So you could have just said you oversee a company, but it becomes a bit vague. But the more you drill in and get specific, okay, what type of company is it? It's an FMCG company. How much revenue are they making? Oh, it's a multi-million-dollar FMCG company. So it's putting things into perspective. And then if you come and tell me that it's a global multi-million-dollar, then it helps me to know that, oh, okay, so that's your mileage, like you're able to cover global organizations, right? With presence in 150 countries. You may be thinking that this is too huge for you, but drill it down to what you do. Even if you're in Ghana, what you are doing, is it something that impacts just a greater Accra region, or it extends beyond greater Accra region to um, Ashanti region, northern region. I don't know if there are non-Ghanaians here, but pardon me for my bias, right? You are looking at different regions in Ghana. So maybe what you're doing, let's say you're Nigerian, what you're doing, does it affect people in Abuja? You should be able to say that, yeah, it's able to affect people in two geographical areas, right? Two key geographical areas. And that way, it gives a broader perspective to what you are working on, or it helps people appreciate your mileage more. So mileage is also very important, although you are not saying the key achievements. Yes, you could have achieved your sales targets, etc. But also by highlighting your mileage, you get people to know or understand the capacity that you hold. Right. So at this juncture, what I'm going to do is I am going to just show you what a resume template looks like. There's our resume template. Yeah. I wouldn't talk much about it because when you open the document, I think Kafu will make it available to the community. When you open the document, you would see the various comments on the CV sections, and based on what you're working on, let's say you're building an academic CV, then you have to bring your education section up. You're a new graduate, you don't have a lot of experience, then you need to bring your education section up to sell more on your knowledge. So the CV is that fluid, right? You need to always understand the context that you are in and adapt accordingly. If you have some years of experience and you don't have to sell on your education to show that you have like the capabilities and capacities and all of that, then you'd want to jump straight to your skills and then your work experience, where you now detail your work experience based on the various roles that you have occupied. You can also highlight not-for-profit work, also depending on the context of the organization. Maybe the organization does something in line with a particular charity, and you've done some not-for-profit work in line with the goals of that particular charity. You can highlight that. It's a way to let them know that, okay, you are aligned with their values. But in all of that, whether it's for not-for-profit work or for-profit work, always make sure that you're highlighting achievements or highlighting your mileage. It's very important to sell you. Don't feel like it's not for profit work, so there's no way you can, talk about achievements or you can talk about mileage. It's very important that you talk about impact and achievements as well. You can highlight several other sections. You can have your project section, you can have a speaker engagement section, a research work, publications and articles section, licenses and certifications, etc. References section as well. That's sometimes they ask you to have your references on for some specific industries, like let's say the international development organizations. They would ask you to have your references on, but till it's asked, I mean, you don't need to provide it. It saves you space, because normally reference checks will come in even at the end of the whole process when they feel like, okay, you're a good fit. Let's go and talk to people and see if what you're saying is actually true, what you've done in the past and all of that actually aligns with what's on your CV. And they have to verify that with your previous employers, your co-workers, etc. And that's why you also don't need to build to burn bridges sometimes, because you need people to sort of attest to the work that you've done. So that's basically what a resume should look like. And the last thing about the structure, so I have something here, right, that says lead a team to execute a marketing project to introduce new brands of product to consumers. This is something that any other manager in who is marketing something can put on their resume, but it shouldn't be so. So you now have to drill it down and get more specific. So in reference to you, you can roll with that maybe you drove a team of 10 to execute a $5,000 marketing project. 10 new brands were introduced to 500 consumers across Ghana, right? So you see across Ghana, you can go down and see across 16 regions, across 10 regions, across 5 regions in Ghana. But that way you get more vivid, you have your numbers there, you're showing that, okay, you use this budget, you've handled this project, and you've also used you've also been able to introduce new brands to about 500 consumers across the country, which is a starter. So that is like just a gist of what you should be looking at, right? And lastly, for the skill section, there are cases where you'd want to highlight the skills. So many different reasons. Maybe you are looking at moving from one industry to the other. So you have to highlight your skills in this way and then write specific situations or specific achievements that are related to the skills. That way you are selling it hard to the employer. That's something that you can do. On the other hand, too, you can, take out that section and just have your technical skills in there, right? And then your software skills. And then when it comes to the resume bullets, you mix the skills in there. So maybe drove a team of 10 to execute a 5,000 marketing project and ensure that timelines were met using maybe Trello. Trello is an app that helps to manage a project, right? So that way, whoever reads it says that, okay, you can use Trello in managing a project. You've managed a $5,000 project, and that way help you to keep your things on track. And beyond that, this was the impact that you made. You're able to introduce 10 new brands to 500 consumers across Ghana. So I would sort of end here because it's 8:48. Kafui, I am open to questions.
Okay, wow. That was really good. I really loved every part of it. I'm sure the community also enjoyed it. And as you were speaking,
Okay.
the questions. And I'll take a question from here before I project the slide. This is from Susu. Susu, in the interest of time, I'll just read the question. He said, please, do you have a journaling app you can recommend for keeping track of information that will later be used in a CV? And then the second question is the difference between a CV and a resume.
Okay. So the first question, well, I've come across that issue. It's something that my team and I are currently working on to build like a journaling app that helps people to use to follow some intuitive approach, right, in journaling the stuff that they do, which is specifically tailored to helping you recognize your achievement, quantify the achievement, and then document it. As it stands now, I haven't seen any app that does that for you. I've seen some journaling app like Notion. You can even use your notes to write things down. But in terms of following a structured approach, right, that helps you to, okay, distill and see that, okay, this is an achievement. Nice. How do you quantify it? Go through this process and quantify it. This is how you should document it. I've not seen anything like that yet. So it's something that my team is working on. Hopefully nobody beats us to that. But even if someone beats us to that, it's still a competitive market. So that's something that you can use in the meantime. You can use a Notion, you can use your iPhone notes. But the missing piece there is that you don't get that structured approach of being able to follow that step-by-step process and then get things quantified. I hope I've answered your question. I would move on to the next question. You said the difference between CV and resume. It's so some people would give you they'll tell you that CV is a longer version, has everything, your academics, the courses you studied, everything in there like that. It's really bulky than a resume, right? A resume is more like a very short, it's more focused for jobs, right? When you look at CV crowd, I think the meaning of CV is course of life. So it's like literally everything, your education, the courses you study, like it can be very bulky, right? But it's sometimes used interchangeably. When you come to the UK, they use CV. When you go to the US, they say resume. Some parts of Europe to say CV, right? And when you come to Ghana, to sometimes they tell you send your CV, other people say send your resume. So it's sort of used interchangeably. But the most important thing is that at any point in time, when you're submitting that document, if it's a job, make sure that it's tailored, right? And it's very concise and it's contextualized to whatever they need as a company. So I hope I have answered that particular question too as well.
Yes, you have. And the next question is from Alfred, and I don't want to. Thank you. You can
I
just
think
go
you've
on.
mentioned this.
Yes.
Yeah, we've mentioned that you can do journaling, right? Journaling framework. that you can follow, and then you can sort of always try to identify things. So like identify when you are solving a problem, try to, most importantly, try to identify what that problem is impacting for the business. Don't go ahead and build a solution and then later come back to start figuring out, okay, what did I do? What should I have measured and all of that. If you are solving a problem and it's impacting sales, you have it clearly in your mind that it's impacting sales. So when I'm done with developing a solution for it and I get a team, I get whoever to implement the solution and the results come, I don't just say I increase sales. I have to go and look at, okay, initially we're making 2,000 Ghana cedi sales in a month. Now we are making 5,000 Ghana cedis in a month. Then now you can see that, okay, you've been able to increase sales by 150%. You get it. That way it becomes stronger, it becomes more definite. And you're also able to communicate whatever value you have strongly to whoever is reading your resume. So that's one major point I would add to that.
Okay, move to the next question. Michael, what's the difference? Okay, we've answered that. So we'll just move on. And when crafting your CV, what's the most important? Okay, you've also answered. Essentially, you've answered that one too. But if you want to add anything,
oh, it's. I mean, look at the JD. That's what they need. So, if what purpose is it? Are you sending it for academics? If you are sending for academics, look at what they need to excel in the academics. They always document it that way. When you go to the school's website, maybe you're applying for a master's, right? Highlight your CV in that light. They are looking for maybe scholarship. They are saying leadership. Let your resume demonstrate. You can create even a blog saying leadership capabilities in addition to highlighting your academic progress. So always know what is needed and then build your CV towards that. Just use that simple rule and then you'll be able to navigate things easily.
Kofi wants to know how long the CV should be.
Okay. But before that, let me just address something. I think sometimes I forget, right? I keep saying JD. The JD is job description. Please pardon me. Like it's something that I've said over and over again. So just in case I've mentioned JD somewhere, it's job description. So yes, for someone with 2 or 3 years of experience. So you see, you can't really base it based on years of experience because when I was as at the time I was even a student, like I was done with school or even my first year of work. I had a general resume that was like 2 to 3 pages, right? So it does not really matter about the length, but normally you'd have very concise CV staying between 1 to 2 pages. But you should make sure that wherever you are developing or whatever content you're putting into the resume is speaking to what they need. And mostly there's that attachment. I feel like, hey, this thing, I've done it. It's actually wonderful. I think they would love it. But the thing is, if they've not asked for it in the resume, in the job description, the JD, you're most likely just throwing your shots around, and that might not be relevant. So the most important thing is you may want to talk to an insider, someone working in the company, or even the person hiring to get more clarity about the role. Then you can best position your CV for it. But worst case scenario, if you can't speak to anybody, stick to the job description because that's what is the specification that they are working with as an organization. So you can move to the next. Is it my end or Kafu, it's yours?
Yeah, this is from Charles. Talking about dating.
Okay.
No, this is
I don't know what he means
different
by
question.
backdating. Probably you can skip and then, or you can give a bit of context to it. Say backdating. Backdating sounds illegal.
How far? Let me understand. How far should work experience be backdated in yours? Yeah, it's Charles in the room. If he's here, you can just go and turn on your mic and answer. If not, we'll skip this one.
Yeah, we can move on. If whenever it comes on, you can ask and we'll attend to it.
Yeah. This is from Esther.
Yeah. So yes, as I mentioned earlier, volunteering is not for profit. They still demonstrate the skills that you have. So yours is to look at what kind of value you implemented in those contexts, right? So when you were a volunteer, did you have to manage a team? did you have to achieve some? Maybe you were doing a health screening exercise. Did you have to plan everything, engage the team, and get the project run? And did you have to negotiate with vendors and all of that? And in the end, did you make some savings in the amount of money that was used on the project, right? Were you able to achieve the success? How many people did you reach with the health screening project? Those are things that you can actually bring out and highlight in your volunteering section, and it will still speak to your ability to achieve things using particular skills, right? So you can always use your internships, your volunteering work, even the church things that you've been doing that you've been overlooking. A lot of people overlook things, right? If you don't have any work experience, look beyond it, how you've helped people on many projects, etc. Let me tell you one thing. There was this time where we helped the guy build a resume. He was confused as to what he wanted to do. He was done with school. He I think he studied IT, right? And he didn't have the technical skills. But speaking to the guy, I realized that this guy can do a lot of selling because he had this, he had this zeal. So we drilled down further and realized that when he was in school, he was a student leader. So we brought out all the things that he was doing as a student, and they were amazing things. He was negotiating things, he was resolving conflicts, and he was getting results done. And we even went further to talk about some things that his dad shipped to him to sell. Like he had a laptop, phones, and all of that he had to sell. He was able to sell it within a particular time frame. He was able to make the profit that he wanted. So we put it there as freelance sales executive, and we highlighted those things. So don't let it make you feel like it has to be a formal environment before you achieve something, right? You can always achieve things outside the the corporate environment. You can always achieve something, and you can put that on your resume. Kafu, we can go to the next question.
Antoinette.
This question is quite broad, but I think all that I've said really covers it. It's about the content structure, making sure that your structure is fluid, etc. So we can move ahead. Yeah, webinars. So what do you want to, so what do you want to do in terms of what do you want to highlight? What is the let's say, are you doing some Twitter spaces, right? Maybe you want to show that you are a very good communicator, and that's very fantastic. You can put it under, from the CV that I showed, there's a part where I have speaker engagement. You can have it as that, and then you can highlight all the things that you've done. So if you have done a Twitter space conversation, talk about how you're able to bring about maybe 10 speakers from diverse backgrounds or 2 speakers from diverse backgrounds together, the number of people you're able to reach with your Twitter spaces. And most importantly, you'd want to understand the impact that your Twitter spaces have had. So if there's a post poll that you can run, make sure you promote that and then measure that, because that's what you would be your core metric. Maybe asking people, okay, before you join the space, what's your knowledge on this particular topic on a scale of 1 to 10, rank it. And then after joining, how has your knowledge improved on a scale of 1 to 10, rank it. That's average difference in the before and after can give you an idea about, okay, how you can say you've been able to increase brand awareness, or awareness on this particular topic by this percentage among this number of people, right? By organizing a Twitter Spaces conversation. So you can put that under your speaker engagement. Remember, your CV is very fluid. And most importantly, it should be something that should be important to whoever is hiring you. Otherwise, it can sit in your general resume and you can always use it for later. So I hope I've been able to address that particular question. You can also have a workshop section anyway, like a workshops section, not necessarily speaker engagements. Yeah. Can move to the next.
Yeah, the next is Joyce. Joyce, how do you transition from a typical Ghanaian working environment to fully?
Okay, this is a very big one, considering that there's an idea that we are also working on. It's not really, well, it's past the ideation stage because we've executed it. And for me, like from where I sit, what I would say is that first of all, you have to do like a skills assessment. You have to really understand how how you're going to compete in the global market, get and have a full understanding of your skills, and then see situations where you've been able to utilize those skills. Obviously, this is tailored to a particular job that you are looking forward to. So if you have a clear job in mind, know your skills, the skills that you have a wonderful resume, and the next thing is searching for the remote role. So you can find remote job boards. You can go to Twitter, you can search moments with Brain and add a keyword remote jobs. She has a lot of content. I mean, she even has a Medium article highlighting remote platforms like for 150 websites. So you can go there and then try and see how you can get into a remote role. But most importantly, try and differentiate between remote jobs that are willing to hire from anywhere or remote jobs that are willing to hire from a specific location, say US or UK or Europe. It's very important. Otherwise, you send in applications and then you'll not get any positive response because you're not eligible to, work for the company. So that's quite straightforward, but they can always get in touch if they need more details.
Yeah, this another
How does
question.
one create an all-round? Yeah, I would say it's not possible, but what you can create is a general resume. You can have a general CV. My general CV is about 4 or 5 pages. Like it has everything that I've done, right from being a student leader to the volunteering things that I've done, etc. All of them are in there. So as and when I need something, when something comes up, I just jump in there and then I pull it up and then I use it for whatever I need. So you can create a general resume to accommodate all of that and tailor based on the jobs that you'll be applying for in the various professional sectors. Okay. We actually are still within time.
This one is more of someone wanting to volunteer to help you. I think if Mary is in the house, can you just raise your hand so that we acknowledge you're here?
Nice pitch. Okay, Mary. Okay, sure. You get in touch. I think Kafu will pass my contact on to you. joelanaman@gmail.com. You can reach out as well. I hope people do not spam me when we host this on YouTube.
Yes.
But Mary, you can reach out.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. So we've come to the end of the questions. Yes. And
I think Mary raised her hand.
I think we have we've exceeded by 5 minutes. Well, we didn't start exactly at 8, so that's okay. So we are at the end of today's session. I will pass the mic back to Joel to give us a summary of today's session. Next steps.
Yeah.
And then we'll do some announcement from Kraado and then we wrap up.
Okay, so again, I would ask from the audience, how are you feeling? I would ask 2 things, right? I would ask 2 things. Before joining this meeting, how would you rank your knowledge on a scale of 1 to 10 in resume writing? And then after this session, how would you rank your knowledge on a scale of 1 to 10? No hard feelings. So you can put in 2 numbers. The first one is about your how you were thinking about what resumes are really like, and then the second one is the after. Okay, Alfred says 4 to 8. Nice. That's like doubling your awareness score or knowledge score. Oh, nice. 7 to 9. Interesting. At least that's quite refreshing to know that we've been able to do something. So 5 to 8, 8 to 9. Interesting. Selassie is someone that we've worked with, so I don't expect you to even have an increase. But anyway, yeah. So back to what I was saying. Today we've looked at a couple of things. I spoke about my story. I spoke about this sarcastic definition of a resume, which is not something that you should take to heart. It's actually, a resume is actually the total opposite of this. It's a regularly updated document, right? That's you feed with your value and achievement, right? And it makes you ever ready for different opportunities. So just bear that in mind. for your resume. You can also try journaling as well. And I also talked about what a resume is not. What a resume is. Like, a resume will not guarantee you the job, but it will put your best foot forward, and you always have to update it. You have to sell it. It has to be specific. It has to be customized to the role that you're applying for. And I also spoke about the winning resume, having the best content, the structure, and then the context. I showed what our resume template is like. This is a super compressed, should I say, masterclass. But yeah, these are the steps that you can follow: understanding the meaning of success, knowing the what, the how, the when, the who, the skills, the tools, the industry terms, the power verbs, the power and action verbs, and all of that, right? And also not forgetting to highlight your mileage, right? So going vivid in terms of numbers, in terms of adjectives, understanding the types of things. So you can't just see a company, but if you see an FMCG company, how large is the company? How widely spread is the company? So the more you think about describing things that way, the better you saw yourself strongly. So that's also one thing. So what I'll end with is that opportunities have no pre-announcements. You should always be ready. So are you ready? You can visit us on our website, careerwheel.com, career-wheel, mycareerwheel.com actually. So you can follow the shortened link to us, well, bit.ly/career-wheel, or you can scan the QR code in the upper left corner of the slide. Thank you so much for joining in. Oh, I think I didn't know. I thought I was actually projecting the screen.
No, I was projected. Okay. So I want you to talk about all the other services you give to.
Oh, the other services that we do. So
Yeah,
when
to
you go on our
students,
website, you realize
yeah.
that we run a full suite of career navigation services, from resume writing, so personal branding, basically resume writing, LinkedIn, your cover letter. We also help with getting people to get clarity around what they are doing. So we have like a interview preparation. We have finding purpose in your workplace, like understanding how you're contributing to success, and also job hunt strategy and general career navigation course. You can reach out to us. Currently, we are in a phase where we are matching highly skilled talents to remote job opportunities, right? Global job opportunities that can earn them up to 5 to 6 figure USD jobs. So that's also something that we work on. It's called Elevate. And finally, we are working on our journaling platform, which we'll make available when it's ready. So thank you so much, Kafi, for giving me the Kraado community to preach the CV gospel to. I really appreciate this. And I know you've been chasing me for
I'm so happy this finally happened. You have no
yeah.
idea. I am always telling people when we are matching these interns or volunteers to roles within startups, I'm always insisting
Mhm.
1-page resume, 1 page. Go and read
Okay.
Joel's article on LinkedIn. I'm like referring them to it. But now I have a perfectly good reason to even insist more and be more persistent
Yes.
about the fact that they need to tailor their resumes. And then I also
Taylor.
have to demand, yes, it goes both ways. The
Mm-hmm.
businesses are so much in a hurry looking for talent that they don't spend the time to put together a proper JD, job description. So then you
That's
you
true.
don't expect the student to send just any random resume, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I
Mm-hmm.
have to do the work of chasing the businesses and getting the student to also do the right thing. So
That's a
thank
good thing
you
that you're doing.
for
That's a very good thing
validating
you're
my
doing.
talking degree. Yes. Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right, guys.
Great.
Thank you
All right.
for coming, everyone. Thank you for staying till the very end.
I
And the
can turn off my
announcement
video now,
is
right?
the what?
I can turn off my video now, right?
Yes, you can turn it off now.
Yeah.
Yay.
Fantastic.
Yes. Our coaches are available for booking. This is free for limited period only. We have technical coaches, we have business coaches. Go to the Kraado website and pick a coach. Just have like 30 minutes to 1 hour conversation with them or solve a real problem or challenge you are facing. So you have all the resources available to get ahead in life. Our mandate is to make sure people don't say they don't have the experience to work, or they are not making any difference in life in Ghana or in Africa. That excuse is in the past. So please take charge of your career, take charge of your passion. That's all I have for today. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Susu, for tweeting. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And especially big thank you to Jay Anaman. See you again.
Thank you.
Maybe in 2 weeks.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.